Well, we're back again today with more farming action, but actually not farming, like not tractor driving. This farming action requires me grabbing this nice pair of rubber boots and then taking a shovel and going to the river bottom. And of course, it's starting to do that thing where it sprinkles. Oh, Northeast Missouri, why must you be like this? So I got a text from a guy that I know that lives in the bottom, and he says, hey, there's a giant pond of water in the field south of my house. And I said, well, that's interesting. I'm gonna get a shovel and my muck boots and I'm gonna go investigate. The bottom where we farm is about 10 miles away from our house. So what happened here is that someone was working ground and they probably covered up the tile that actually drains that specific spot. So we're gonna take the shovel that's in the back of this truck, my muck boots, we're gonna go out there and see what's going on. I looked at Google Maps of this field and there's definitely a tile in there because A, I've went around it before, and B, you can see on Google Maps where the tile is, and it's somewhere in here, directly south of that power line. This little pond formation here is actually quite a bit deeper than I thought it was. I don't know how searching for this is gonna work out. I maybe should have brought waders or something that would go all the way up to my chest because my boots are about 4 inches away from being filled with rainwater. Well, I hate to do it, but I think we're gonna have to take the L on this one. I know for a fact that I am right on it because I looked on Google Maps and my pin, my locator was right on top of where the drain is, but I cannot find it with 2 feet of water over top of it. Just have to go home and regroup and come at this when it's a little less pondy out here. Gumbo likes to stick to everything. I guess it's not all bad news because the sweet corn that I planted looks pretty nice. The guy that I planted it for thinks it might be just a little bit thick on the stand, but I don't know, it looks pretty good. And my rows were mostly straight. They got a little bit of a to them, but I think I did okay for my first time. I have some pretty dismal news regarding the current stand of corn and other places that we got recently planted before it started raining for 2 weeks straight. It's looking like we're gonna have to replant like a lot of corn, like too much corn. So this thing sadly is going to be replanting instead of actually planting for real for the first time, which is kind of sad, but I guess it is what it is. There's places where we have bad stands of corn, and then there's places like this that's just a picket fence stand and is perfect in every single way. Incidentally, this is also some of the best ground in the county. Oh yeah, there's one guy that wanted to know some more about this old house or whatever. I'll tell you what I know about it. It was built in 1863, and the guy who built it was very wealthy. This is a pretty nice house. I believe it has 11 rooms, four on this first floor, 4 on the second floor, and then it has an attic, all connected by a giant staircase, and it's a pretty cool old house. For a long time, I had ambitions of fixing it up and living here, but the money. Like, I could spend $1 million on this place and I would still have a 150-year-old house. But gosh, I sure would like the view. My grass crop is also coming in just a little bit better. I may end up going and overseeding this with more grass, but for now, I think this is gonna be okay. Missouri, sorry to anyone else who doesn't live in Missouri, you're missing out on the views. I see that the kitty cats are very productive today. Hi, good morning. I see you're very busy today. Okay, we got her done. Finally, that yard over there has like 25 things to mow around, so it goes pretty slow. I also randomly decided that I needed to spread my other yard with fertilizer, so that's what we're gonna do now. I have now reached the section of the yard where I opened it up all the way to make sure all the excess fertilizer gets cleaned out. Let's go. Oh yeah, this is gonna be some green grass. Now this here, folks, is what a stand of corn is supposed to look like. This year I only have 2 cornfields, and one of them is right here, and it looks perfect, amazing, like just a great stand. Ooh, I just hit a squirrel. And then my second one is over here, and it's like, like maybe I want to replant it, maybe I don't, but I'll have to wait several days before I can actually know for sure. I came out here by West Ely to look at my custom sunflower planting job, and it looks great except for every 5th row is not there because apparently we forgot to turn on the 5th row clutch. But really, I'm pretty happy with the job that my new John Deere planter did versus the Oliver. It's a night and day difference, the kind of the kind of planter that those two are. Yep, it looks pretty good until you get to every 5th row and then there's nothing. The Birks and the short socks are not exactly field scouting attire, but I make it work. To be a cow, just mindlessly chewing grass, not worrying about a thing. Makes you wonder if maybe our lives are a little overcomplicated. It was a big time yard farming operation here. And we got some chickens over there that can't figure out that they're supposed to go around the back to go in the coop. The chickens here at Goldinger Chicken Farm are not known for their intelligence. Like, come on, bird, the door is right here. So, Ella, if you watch these videos, you need to work with your chickens on being more intelligent. Like, I don't know, maybe you could give them multiplication sheets to do over the summer, since that's what my mom made me do when I was young and dumb. So this is a pretty high-tech chicken coop. We've even got lights, we got a clock, shiplap, ooh boy, and of course the egg creators. This chicken coop is one of those projects that maybe got taken just a little bit too far. Like before these chickens moved in, I thought, hey, this might be a nice house to live in. I got bored and I bought these Yetter Twister closing wheel inserts to put on my new planter, and I've been putting them together. This is actually my last row here, and I'll video it. I wasn't gonna video any more than I really had to because guess what? It's kind of boring doing this. You literally do one thing and then you take it times however many rows that you have. I do have a bone to pick with some engineers. So this is the old style closing wheel, or it's an older one. It's got 6 bolts in it, and the nut is actually imprinted into the plastic, so you don't have to use a ratchet or a wrench to hold it still. And now, come over to a newer style closing wheel. Those are all just nuts and bolts, and you have to use a ratchet. Like, seriously, engineers, who thought that was a good idea? Like, really? Like, sometimes I think that engineers are farmers' worst nightmare, and I don't say that lightly. This is really a simple process. You just take your closing wheel, get a ratchet of your choice. Typically, the size of the socket is 7/16. Get all of them loose, and you flip it over, and you do the same thing on the other side. Now you're gonna wanna get a 15/16 socket and set said socket right here and find a hammer that you like. Mine happens to be this one. It's a nice little 1-pound sledge. You're gonna hit said socket until the closing wheel halves separate. And now we get this. You take this part, you throw it away because they're worthless, and we have our 2 halves. You set the insert in like this. You take your second half, and this is a very important part. You have to line up the holes, or else you're going to be taking it apart and doing some magic with a Dremel. Ask me how I know. At this stage, you're going to take a nice mallet of your choice, and you're going to hit it a couple times. You do have to make sure that the holes are lined up. That's important. And voila. You're going to take 3 of your bolts and put them in like that. Now you're going to take your impact and torque them to 2 Ooga Doogas. That usually holds everything. Flip it over, rinse and repeat. And here's our finished product. And with that, we are done with that little project. Now that the actual work is done, you have to do something that's almost equally as important. That's putting everything away. These darn seed salesmen and their drones. Our local seed salesman for Pioneer, Roger and Cooper, stopped by. They took us out for lunch, the best price, which is free. These guys are gonna fly some of the corn that we have planted across the road. Not the field that didn't come up, but the field that did come up. The field that did not come up, it's gonna have to be replanted. It was so much fun the first time, we had to do it again. Come on, come a little bit closer, chicken. It seems like all I do these days is mow grass since it has to rain like every day of the week. 3 yards here in the past couple hours. Now I'm going to do something that we don't normally do here on Goldlinger Farms, and that is put in fence posts. And when we get to the place, I will tell you why. Uh-oh, we got raindrops on the windshield. We literally will have not been in the field for 2 weeks now. It's just so frustrating knowing that, like, this is the prime time to be planting corn and beans, and I'm here sitting and doing this kind of stuff. Or sitting in the house and watching, like, the whole Star Wars The Clone Wars series over again. It's just very, very frustrating. Mentally, it's kind of hard on you, but, I mean, that's part of this job. The reason that we're putting up some fence posts seemingly in the middle of the field is because someone else bought this part of the farm, and my grandpa bought this part. I put this post right here on our side of the surveying pin, and I'm going to go where the other surveying pin is way over there and put another post. And again, this is to avoid any future confusion between us and the other landowners. I located the second surveying pin, and I'm going to put this post in here. If I had a clear line of sight over to the other post, I could put a third one in to kind of make the boundary a little more obvious, but I don't have a clear line of sight, and this will probably be good enough for what we're trying to do. This is the part of farming that some people don't tell you about, is the non-driving tractors and that kind of stuff part. I hope you like that tree that I just set you in, because I'm a broke boy who doesn't actually have a real camera or a magnetic mount or anything. Heaven forbid I spend money on something. And this appears to be what's left of the actual surveying equipment, and see how well that held up, which is not very well. We're just gonna do one of these numbers. And guess what? I just got permission to go video something cool. So hopefully this afternoon, we're gonna get out there and do a little tour of a special place. Do you know how awkward it is calling someone that you've really only talked to a few times in your life and asking them permission to video something that's on their property? It's kind of awkward, but I guess that's the price of this whole internet farmer thing. That's done. I actually brought my rubber boots with me because we're gonna go and give that giant wet spot another try. Yeehaw! Let's hope I don't get stuck. Well, I shouldn't get stuck because the wet spots are down there and I'm on the top of the hill, which shouldn't be wet, but I've been wrong before and I will be wrong again, unfortunately. I came back down here for round 2 only to find that Grandpa had been here only moments prior and solved the problem. Now I just have to get all the way back to the truck without getting stuck in this mud. It looks like we just made a new cut in the tile line, because it's all just coming out of this point right here. There's hardly anything coming out down there where the actual outlet is. Yep, this is frustrating. So this may not look like much behind me, but this was actually a seed cleaning shed at one point in time for a fellow that sold seed here north of town. This was a business that was started by his dad, I believe, according to my dad. And he ran it until 1983, according to some of the things that I found in here that have dates on them and things like that. This was something that was pretty neat, and it's going to be torn down, unfortunately. So I wanted to video it, and I did ask permission. I wanted to video it before it was torn down for posterity, and because, I mean, it's kind of neat. You don't see things like this from a bygone era of agriculture where things were more local. From what I can tell, this building used to be a corn crib because of all the slatted things on the walls, and then right here again. And there was probably these slats here so that you could hold ear corn. And the holes that are in these boards are consistent with that. There's several pieces of seed cleaning equipment like this, and I believe that this was a corn grater. Yes, corn grater. So I can assume that it is a corn grater. And the patent date is 1947. Another one for 1942. And here's actually the serial tag. It's a universal more corn seed corn grater. There are several grain tanks from old combines that are actually in like the ceiling of this place that I assume were to help sort seed and hold it for storage. Like there's one, there's another one, and there's another one right here. And there's also a small leg in here. And again, we have what used to be a corn crib, I assume. And it was kind of modified and made to fit a seed cleaning business or operation. There's also another larger holding bin behind this wall here, and it's got an incline so that all the seed can fall down and you don't actually have to clean it out. This device here is another grain leg, and it's actually made out of wood, and the cups are made out of stamped steel. This device is also probably used for seed cleaning. And here's one of the combine grain tanks that actually says Massey Harris Clipper Combine, and it has seen its better days. This contraption here probably sorted some kind of seed or something like that. And here's the cups that I was talking about in this old leg. I can only assume that these switches here were to turn on some of the grain cleaning accessories here in this old shed. There's some papers here that are kind of on the ground. These are germination test records for soybeans, apparently. And he had 0 weed seeds and 0 noxious weed seeds. 99.5% pure. Germination was 90%, and the date tested was in April of 1983. Here's another little piece of paper. This would have probably gone on the seed bags that were sold from this location. And it has seed plate suggestions for like John Deere planter plates and International. Hey, and even Oliver. This is some more literature that's laying around. Again, this is like planter plate suggestions. We even got a sticker in here. Sticker says, certified seed doesn't cost, it pays. The seed would come in that grain leg. It would go up, way up in there. And then it would go in the pipe that's coming over here to the seed grader. And you grade the seed, and then I guess you could bag it from there. Or you could take it back and put it into one of the 1, 2, 3 larger seed storage bins. And again, this was not a purpose-built seed cleaning shed. This was just something that they made it work. I guess it worked pretty well. There's also a couple bags of grass and some kind of small, maybe it's alfalfa seed. I don't know. With something like this that hasn't been in regular use for almost 40 years, it's kind of difficult to tell what things once were. And the guy that actually constructed this and made all of the work has now passed away, so I can't actually ask him questions about it. However, it would be extremely cool if I had the chance to talk with the guy that actually ran this place back when it was in operation. Throwback. Local agriculture like this and local production of your inputs is kind of a thing of the past now, unfortunately. And places like this are disappearing one by one, and it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. The world has to move forward. But you cannot forget where you came from, or you'll probably end up there again one day. On one side of the barn here that's actually like kind of over a bank, there's a door here that's about head height that you could conceivably walk through holding bags of seed corn to deliver. And the door used to open, not anymore. And there's kind of a little dock out there, so I can only assume that they would load out trucks with seed corn there. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to video this. Thank you to the owner, who shall remain anonymous. This will probably be gone, I don't know, within a week. So I may be the last person to ever be in here. This seed bag is not as old, but I actually applied to work at this place. And of course I didn't get the job. They don't know what they're missing with me. This shed's just full of cool stuff like this. Like I could spend a whole day out here and still not cover everything here and not actually understand how this place worked. Here's another throwback for some of the older viewers. This chemical is still made today, but this is extremely old packaging. Missouri is a label state, and in 1985, this is all the label you had to go off of. This is neat too. It's a screen that would help screen the fines out of your seed corn. I just noticed this, and this makes me laugh. See right here by my finger? That's a mirror so that whoever was standing by this ladder could just look up and be able to look down into the seed bin. This place just keeps getting cooler and cooler. And you might wonder, gee whiz, why would they tear something like this down? The answer is just, I mean, it needs work, and it's more than the building's really worth. I understand why it's being torn down. It just doesn't make sense to keep it going. I think that's it for this seed shed tour. And so we have another video being drawn to a close at Mimi's Coffee House. Goodness, time kind of got away from me there. First it was 7 o'clock, and now it's 10 o'clock, and I'm just kind of forgot about making an outro. I do sincerely hope that you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more. There's always, always, always more. Hopefully we're going to be getting in the field soon. Fingers crossed. We're looking at farming in June and replanting 1,000 acres of corn. So that's great. It was so much fun the first time that we decided to do it again. Actually, that's not what happened. What happened was it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained, and it was cold. So the corn, it died. I will catch you guys on the next one, and keep it cool out there. GN streaks, don't hit me up.